Alright, so here's your question. You ask a company that produces water skis, which are seasonal products, forecasts monthly sales over a 2-year period to be S equals 23.1 plus 0.0442 t plus 4.3 sine of pi t over 6. Alright, or t pi over 6 is how you would write that. Where S is measured in thousands of units and t is in the time months, with t equals 1 representing January 2004. Estimate sales for each month are, and then it gives you A, B, C, and D. Alright, so first of all, companies don't normally plot, they don't make up graphs like this for their product. This is just kind of give you an idea. And what they're talking about is if it's a seasonal product, it's going to increase and decrease. So if you have, this is over time, here you go, so it'll start something like, being that this is starting in January and these are skis, so it's probably going to start high, maybe get a little bit higher like in February, come down, go back up when it hits January again, come back down, go back up. So all it's talking about is this kind of like periodic up and down motion, which is perfect for the sine function. Alright, that's really what it's perfect for. And this right here, this 0.442t, what that's saying is that their products are going to increase over time. So instead of the the midline being horizontal, this plus 0.442t, because it's positive, is actually going to give this a positive slope. So let's go ahead and do this. It's going to give this increasing slope. So these will kind of increase over time, and these will come up. So the midline is actually going to be increasing like this. So that's what the 0.442t does. And the 23.1 at 0, so when t equals 0, this the 0.442t will go to 0, and right here this will be t pi over 6. The t times pi will be 0, divided by 6 will remain 0, and sine of 0, we draw a really quick unit circle. Pi of 0 is right here, and this coordinate is 1, 0, where the y value is 0. So this is also going to be 0. So this will be 0, 0, and you'll just be left with s equals 23.1. So that gives you this initial starting value. So that's what each of these terms mean. The first one is the initial value. The second one here shows that their sales are going to be increasing over time, and this sine of t pi over 6 gives it this oscillating periodic curve that's going up and down over time, right? And where these peaks right here are probably going to be winter, and these lulls, these the troughs of the wave, if you want to call them that, these would be like summertime. Nobody's going to be really buying skis over the summer. So that's basically the kind of initial setup of this problem. This is what everything is. So whenever you see all these terms, don't freak out. It's important to know what each of them mean, though. Like I just kind of broke it down right now. Alright, so now let's go ahead and start. It says estimate the sales for each month, and we're going to go ahead and do A first. Alright, where it says January 2004. Alright, so we're going to check January 2004, which is right here. It tells us, let's change colors here. It tells us that t equals 1 in January 2004. So that means all we would do is plug in 1 for this entire equation here. So what we would have is s of 1. Alright, this should have like a s of n, or the same way you would have an f of n, right? Or an f of x, something like that. So f of 1, where t equals 1, is equal to 23.1 plus, it's 0.442t, but that's just going to be 0.442t, where t is 1. Alright, and then we have plus 4.3. Now we have this value here. We have sine of t pi, I don't know, however you want to say it, pi t over 6. Alright, now t is just 1. This is just 1 right here. So that means we're going to be left with solving sine of pi over 6. And we know from our unit circle here. Pi over 6 is this first point right here, just above the 1 comma 0, and the coordinate of that is, remember, everything has 2 on the bottom, and when we're counting up from the x's, we're going to have a 3, and then we're going to, so it'll be 3, 2, 1, and then 3, 2, 1. Alright, so the x value is going to be 3, and then of course the square root of 3. We're going to be left with 1/2. Now we're looking for the sine of pi over 6. Sine correlates to the y value in this coordinate. So that means this is going to be equal to 1/2. So that means we're going to have 4.3 times 1/2. Alright, and it's always easy to to break apart this type of work here all on its own. Take this trig stuff out to the side, so you're not rewriting all of this over and over again. You can just take this sine work off to the side, figure out your unit circle really quick, and again, you don't have to create the entire unit circle every time. You just need to make a portion of it, and find your coordinate, plug it in, and just go ahead and plug in 1/2. Alright, so what we're left with, let's go ahead and pull out our calculator now. We're at the point where we can use a calculator. So now we could do 23.1 plus 0.44044, keep forgetting that 0, 0.0442, it's going to be times 1, so it'll just leave it like that, plus, and here we have 4.3 times 1/2, we'll just call that 0.5. Alright, so we're left with 25.29, so this is going to equal 25.29. Now, remember, right here it says where S is measured in thousands. Alright, so this is going to be 25.29 thousand. So don't forget to, if there's some kind of unit in the, if there's some kind of unit, here, let me write that a little nicer, 1,000. Alright, so whenever you have some type of unit in your word problem, you want to include that unit in the answer. That just kind of makes it more correct. Alright, so now, let's go ahead and jump down to B. Let's grab a different color. Alright, so now for B, and it wants us to find February 2005. Now if it says that January 2004 is t equals 1, and time goes over in months, so it's going to be 12 months. We'd be back at January 2005, so that would be t equals 12, but we're in February, so that means t is going to equal 13. So that means we're going to plug in 13 into this problem. Alright, so let's go ahead and do this again. So we're going to have S of 13 is equal to 23.1 plus 0.0442 times, it's a parenthesis, 13 plus, now again let's do this this sine work to the side a little bit. So we're going to have sine of 13 pi over 6. Alright, so let's go ahead and find this on our unit circle. Let's figure out where this is going to be. Let's draw a unit circle. Alright, so I'm going to have these values all the way around. We're going to have to count around this circle a little bit. So there's two ways we can go about this. First, we can turn this into a mixed fraction, and hopefully you remember what those are. So if you have just 13 over 6, 6 goes into 13 two times, which would be 12, and 13 minus 12 would be 1. So we'd be left with 2 and 1/6. And because there's a pi, you can just throw the pi in there and leave that on top. So that's going to be 2 and pi over 6. So 2 times around, right? So we're going to have 2 times around. We'll end up all the way back here. So we're going to go from 0 all the way around to 2 pi. And then we have 1 extra pi over 6, which will be right here. Alright, so now just to show you guys another way to work this out, you can either do it this way where you simplify your little fraction here, or you can count around. So this is going to be 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, 9 pi over 6, 10 pi over 6, 11 pi over 6, 12 pi over 6, and 13 pi over 6. So this would give us 13 pi over 6, alright? So which is the same coordinate when it comes to radians. This is the equivalent coordinate to just pi over 6, which, believe it or not, it's the same value that we had up here. And we got 1/2 for that. So we got 1/2 times 4.3. Alright, so yeah, so that's going to be, so if, just to make sure, our coordinate here is going to be root 3 over 2, comma 1/2. And again, this is sine of pi over 6, so this is going to be 1/2 will be our value. So this is going to be 4.3 times 1/2. Alright, so now we can go ahead and plug this into our calculator again. Let's find a spot for this. Alright, so we're going to have 23.1 plus 0.0442 times 13 plus, on this other side over here, 4.3 times 0.5. Alright, we're left with 25.82. Alright, so this problem here, we're left with 25.82. And again, that's in thousands. This will be in thousands. Alright, so that'll be 25.82 thousand skis that they will sell in the month of February 2005. Alright, so let's go ahead and actually, I'm going to leave the rest for you guys. This is perfect because I've worked out these first two here, and I've worked them out completely. I've left nothing out, I haven't skipped any steps, so you should be able to work out these last two right here for yourself. So I've left C and D for you guys. There's nothing any more difficult or any different about them. They're just different months, so you need to figure out what their T values are. And once you find out what their T values are, plug it in exactly like we've done, play with the unit circle a little bit, and you get your answer. Alright, so thanks a lot guys, and good luck on your homework.